Welcome to the Wish I'd Known Then podcast, where we focus on how authors found success, looking at strategies that have taken them to the top of the bestseller charts, as well as what they've learned from their mistakes. Because being an indie author is more than knowing the latest marketing trend. It's about being innovative and creative and learning from your mistakes.
Welcome to Wish I'd Known Then podcast. I'm Sara Rosette.
And I'm Jamie Albright. And this week on the show, we're going to talk to Sara about her very successful Kickstarter.
Yes, the second one. So This will be like lessons learned from doing it 2 times and what you can, how I modified things and stuff like that. So yes, I was very, very happy with the way it went.
Yeah. You guys can be me, because I always let Sara do things first, and then she tells me what's good and what's not good.
And I would definitely recommend Kickstarter.
Yeah, she does recommend it a lot.
Yeah. So we'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah. Anything going on with you this week?
Well, I'm out of town. I'm in the mountains. Took a little break, and I have been doing a lot of no hiking this time. Just walking around little villages, shopping and eating. That's basically it. But we did see elk yesterday, which was very cool.
Fun.
It was like, we went to Estes Park. It's not that far from where we were. And they just like roam around the town. They're just nibbling on grass and like in the median, like where you turn into the town. I was like, wow. It was crazy.
An elk. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, so that's like all the excitement we've had. It's been pretty quiet. And I've been in the background. I've been doing some of this stuff to get ready for the fulfillment for the Kickstarter. Okay. That's pretty easy to do on the side.
Yeah.
What about you?
Not much. I've been, and my daughter's helping with the kids. She's, her husband's out of town. And so, I've done work. I've just not written a whole lot, you have to do it kind of in the creases of the day, because when there are 5 kids around, 4
I'm just
under
impressed
5.
You're getting,
exactly.
I'm impressed you're getting anything done. I mean, that's amazing.
So they're at gymnastics right now. That's why I'm able to get
record
this podcast done. And that's great, because they're fun. And I have played, I don't even know how many, in the double digits of the matching game. That is their favorite game, and I have played it, and they have beat me multiple times. Not that I'm letting them win, which is sad, but anyway, that's
great.
That's what I've been doing. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, we have new supporters, don't we?
We do. Yes, we do.
Emily North, and she chose the books, and Bella, and she chose the heart. And we just thank you guys so much. We are so appreciative of your support and you listening to the show and monetarily supporting us. We just can't thank you enough.
Yes. And we're just so thankful for the people who are sticking with us, and just, we really appreciate it.
Yeah, we really do. We do. 3 years is a long time. 3.5 years, long time to have a podcast, and we just appreciate you guys coming on and talking to us. Not coming on, but listening to us, and we just really can't thank you enough. So
we're glad for every supporter we have, and we're just very thankful.
Yep. Do you have anything else?
No, I think that's about it.
Before we jump into Kickstarter?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay, so I made some notes and kind of broke it out about like things that I had learned. And one of the things people have a lot of questions with is the launching and the planning. And that it does take a lot of time, but it was not as time consuming this time as it was last time, because I kind of knew what I needed to do. And so it didn't take maybe quite as long, but it still took a long time, like to do the images and kind of plan the page. But I had a template from the last one. So I sort of just took that one and copied it and just redid everything with the new book. But I was still worried. I was still very nervous about it. And we had Joanna Penn on the podcast when her Kickstarter was launching, her first one, and she talked about how scared she was.
Yeah.
And I was scared too, a whole lot the first time.
Yeah.
And more nervous this time, but still that fear was still there. And I think there's just something about you're putting something out in the world that's got the cost, and people can see you if it's successful or not, and that's pressure.
Right. It is pressure. It is pressure because we all have egos, and even though Sarah's doesn't seem like she does, she does.
Well, I want it to do well.
So she's an egomaniac. I can't be in the room with her.
Let's let the truth out. Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. But yeah, I mean, that's a big deal. That's a big deal. You want what you do to be successful, and you don't want to look silly, and you don't want to have wasted your time.
Yeah.
But talk to me a minute about the launching and planning. So, like you said, images, like, is that just like one page, or I mean, do you have to come up with multiple days worth of things like that?
Oh, well, like you just have to do the images for your page. Like you have, they call it a story, and it's basically a sales page. Mm-hmm. And, I've went through Russell and Monica's class, Get Your Book Selling on Kickstarter, and their course. And now that's moved into the author ecosystem. Yeah. So if you're interested in that, you can find it there. But like they show you how to lay out the page, and they're proponents of like a long sales page where you have all the information, like you address everything people could question or want to know. Oh, really? So you have to have some images in there to kind of break up the text. Yeah. And then Kickstarter has changed their format. And now, used to, you could have a reward and it was all text. And now you can put an image in there that shows your reward. So people can look down the side at a glance and go, oh, I want the audiobook and the ebook, and I'll pick this one or whatever. Yeah. But that's still like, if you have 10, 15 rewards, that's 10 or 15 new images you have to create. And I had that down a little bit later that we would talk about that, but let's just talk about it now, because that's, it's time consuming to create those. And then you have to think about like how they look. You want them to look pretty, and you want them to have a theme. Like if your book is dark and scary, you want your images to kind of convey that darkness. And my book's not. So I tried to find images that were like light and bright. And I used Book Brush and just went in and created one image, because they have certain size requirements. And I just created everything in that same size. But I used a lot of their, I forgot what they're called. You go in and you can create the, like they have the template and they can add your book to it. It's like the image that's like, it looks like it's laying on a table or something like that. I used those, and that helped a lot. But then I tried to have some of them that I couldn't convey in pictures. Like some of them I had like an audiobook and an ebook, and I put those together in the picture that would go over the reward. But then some of them were like a bunch of things bundled together, and I couldn't, that would be too many things in like a little tiny space. So I just used a font and wrote that like paperback ×5, like for the book club tier. And like I made sure that font was purple and it looked good with the book cover, which was blue. So I kind of had like blue and purple tones for the whole. Right. So you kind of have to think about all that, and that takes some time to figure out. And I'm not very good at graphics, but because I could use like Book Brush and Canva, it went a lot better, a lot smoother. Yeah.
So I'm just kind of asking you questions like,
go ahead.
Like somebody that's not ever seen a Kickstarter, or hasn't really investigated too thoroughly. So that's why I asked that question. And so the planning, like how far out did you start planning?
I probably should have started sooner. I have a tendency to do one project, cut it off, and then I start another one. Yeah. And I think I did this one for it was probably about 3 to 4 weeks getting ready, but I was doing like other small things, but that was like my main focus. Yeah. You kind of have to warm up your audience and let them know what it is. And you don't want to be like from one week to the next, hey, I'm doing a Kickstarter next week. You kind of want to step into it.
And so speaking of like timing of planning and stuff, what you say to avoid holidays and end of the weekday,
because you want to think about like when you're going to start and when you're going to end. So there's so many decisions you have to make. You can't get decision fatigue with doing this, because like you have to decide how many days your campaign is going to run. And then I tried to place it where none of it would fall over a holiday weekend. And mine was like, it started I wanted it to end either before or after Labor Day. So you kind of have to, because people are on holiday and, so I timed mine so that it wouldn't end it wouldn't fall on a holiday. And I wanted it to end on a weekday evening, because you can set it to end at a certain time, because people are busy on the weekends. And I just figured more people be in their routine, on a Tuesday instead of like a Saturday. So because there is like a boost at the end. Kickstarter emails all the people who have said, let me know about this campaign. They email them again at the end of the campaign. So it would be sad, like if they were out of town, Saturday and Sunday, and it ended on Sunday night, and then I got the email on Monday morning. So yeah. So I did mine for 2 weeks this time instead of 17 days. So yeah, I figured that was more manageable for me.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And then,
what else did you have to do in the launching and planning stage?
Well, one thing that really helped me last time was I recruited authors to give away a bonus book. And so like if people signed up during the first week, they got a set of books. And then if they signed up in the second week, they got a different set of books. But the people who signed up the first week got all the books. Does that make sense? Yeah. So the people who signed up the first week would get the first and second week books. And but that took some time. And I learned last time that you pretty much, or for me, I pretty much had to contact authors individually, tell them what I was doing and explain it. And because a lot of my like mystery authors, they've heard of Kickstarter, but they haven't done one. And so there's a lot of explanation. And I think if you're in a different genre that people are more familiar with it and they know what like the bonus incentives or backer perks are, they might be like, sure, they know. But there was a lot of like contacting, tracking people down and figuring out, how to do it. Book Vault to distribute them. So like when the campaigns were. But yeah, so there's a lot of that. That took some time. And then I did do a couple of emails to my list, letting them know about it, letting them know they could follow the page and sign up for to be notified when it went live. So yeah, that's kind of most of the preliminary. And then of course you have to figure out what your rewards are. And that was easy for me this time because I made a lot of those decisions last time and I knew what it was. Yeah. So
well, I have a question then about the bonus books. Do you purchase those? No,
authors are donating them for free. So like if you have a first in series free, that works really well. Yeah. And they're, and I let the authors know up front that basically it's promotion for them because I told them, those books, I have a little thing on the story campaign page that I left up there and it will stay up there forever. So those books will always be there. Right. And I mentioned them in my updates and also in my newsletter to my list. So it's like I'm kind of promoting them and highlighting them, and then hopefully they're going to gain new readers. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And then like if they do Kickstarter in the future, I'm happy to, provide a book for them.
Same thing. Yeah. 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 And how many authors did you recruit?
I had 4 books going out the first week. And I think 3 books the second week. One author donated 2 books, like 2 books out, just because the way her series was set up. So, and I had more than that last time. And I thought, I think we're fine if we cut that back just a little bit. Yeah. So because like last time I had books for weeks 1, 2, and 3, because the third week was longer. So this time I just did, this is your week 1 bonus, and this is week 2 bonuses, and that's it. And I call them bonuses instead of perks, because I think a lot of people don't know what backer perks are.
Yeah. Did you have more the first week than you did the second week?
Yes. Yeah. And I think so. I'm still waiting for Kickstarter to like pull all the numbers together to get the final counts. But yeah, I had a lot of interest that first week, which was really good.
I'm sorry. I wasn't clear. Did you give away more author bonus books the first week?
Yes.
Second week. Meaning, did you give away 4 the first week and 2 the second week?
Yeah. And then, so in those books, they won't actually go out until I deliver all the rewards. And so they haven't gone out yet, but they will when I deliver all the digital stuff.
Okay.
just to keep it simple. Because I thought if I start sending stuff out now, I'm going to go crazy. I need to do it all.
Those are digital books, right?
Yeah. Just through BookFunnel. Yeah.
Perfect.
Like we normally do it. Yeah.
See, it's not that, I mean, it's a lot of stuff, and we're going to talk about how you kept track of everything, but really it's not, I mean, the fulfillment part is just your stuff, right?
Yes. And the way you set up your campaign can make it more complicated or more simple, So like if you only have digital rewards, it's going to be so easy to fulfill compared to somebody who has lots of different, like if you have 3 books, if your campaign is 3 books and you have paperback and hardcover versions and like large print and all that, that's more complicated, So, I would say like there's a ton into it front, and then like you kind of have to shift gears for the fulfillment. And I feel like that's where you make people happy. Like they're excited in the beginning to be part of it, but then if you don't give them the rewards, like if you don't keep them informed and let them know what's going on, and then you view, like if they paid a lot of money for a hardcover and it arrives and they don't feel like it's a special thing, they may be a little disappointed, I think. So like I'm going to put extra time and money into packaging and just making it feel special,
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I love that.
Yeah. So there will be more time on the fulfillment.
I have, I have a simple, like, I want things to be simple, but I tend to create things in a complicated way. So that
I feel like I've been seeing
it.
Called out.
So how do you keep track of everything?
Okay, so I used a Google Doc and I put everything there. I copied, like once I had my final version of the story page, I just copied that and pasted it in there so I'd have it later. And I did the same thing for the reward tiers, my email drafts, my Kickstarter updates. I just put everything in there so I'll have it later and it's all in one place, because that helps me instead of having to go to different places. And before I did that, I had a Google spreadsheet with the budget, and I had the tiers and how much they cost and how much it was going to cost me to fulfill it. And that's some of the preliminary work you have to do. You have to figure out, how much it's going to cost to get it printed, mailed to you if you're signing everything, and then how much it's going to cost you to mail it again to your supporters, for the physical things. And then I had a folder in Dropbox for all the images. And then I broke it out, like I had like a folder for reward images, art and sketches, the map, the book cover, just everything that was going to be part of the Kickstarter I put in there so I could find it later. And I did do some character sketches. I had an artist do character sketches for me, and I had a map done. So those are like extra things that I just kind of did along when I was working on other projects. I was like, okay, I know I'm going to do character sketches for the next book. So I found somebody, and, all those take time. So I would definitely not leave that stuff until like the month before. I would work on that a little bit further out.
Okay. And you found your artist, you said before on the podcast, through Instagram, correct?
I think, he was on Twitter. And I did not know that there are these hashtags that people use on Twitter for different types of art. And so I was just searching hashtags for like flapper art and 1920s art and stuff like that. And lots of Miss Fisher fan art out there. And but anyway, I found him that way. He's a cartoonist. He does his own graphic novels, and he's done a couple of Kickstarters himself, but he has that historical 1920s vibe. And so I contacted him, and he was happy to do it. And it was great. And so like one of the things I did during the campaign was I asked him to answer 2 questions for me. And then I put that in one of my updates to the Kickstarter people, saying, hey, here's the artist, a little bit more, because I want to talk about things other than myself. I was like, let's talk to Dave, interview him for like a short little paragraph and highlight what he's doing. And I think that makes people more interested in the whole thing. Yeah.
I love that. That's so smart. Yeah. Okay. So what do you wish you'd known the first time you did a Kickstarter, and what did you do differently this time?
I do remember last time I really wished I'd known how much time it was going to take to do the story page, and especially all the images. And I tried a whole bunch of different types of rewards last time. And so this time I've kind of pared them down. I got rid of I had an online book club. People could sign up, like that we would get together after the campaign and talk about the book. And that really just didn't resonate with my people. They were just not that interested in that. For the higher tier, I added a physical puzzle, like a wooden puzzle with the cover, and it's very cool looking. And so I just decided to try that this time. I think for authors, it's harder to come up with those higher tier rewards. And I'm not, some authors love like getting together with their readers and, like they want to have an end of campaign party. And for me, that stresses me out because like, it just stresses me out. So it's like, okay, I'm not going to do anything like that this time. Even though I would have a great time when I did it, it's like the anxiety, I guess, of knowing that I'm in charge of it and I have to plan it and run it, just kind of stresses me out. So, so I didn't do anything like that this time. And then I did the shorter timeline, 14 days instead of 17. And that was fine. I think, if you do they say the longer the campaign is, the more successful it usually is. But I think you have to figure out what works for you. And that's a long, like 17, you can do it up to like, I think 45 days or something. That's a long time to try and maintain interest and excitement. So, I added a paperback version this time, which I didn't have before because the first one was a special edition that already had a paperback out. And I was trying to keep it as simple as possible for the rewards. So this time I had a paperback version and a hardcover version.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And so you'll have to fulfill both those. That's I may be recruited to come to your house to
help me pack.
paint boxes.
Yeah. So
sign me up. But didn't I hear you say that for your stretch goal of $20,000, you were going to do a game or something?
Yes, I added that at the end. And that was something that the last time I didn't think about stretch goals at all. And this time I had a plan, but I think you modify stuff as you go in the campaign. And so this time it was doing great. And I was like, well, I'll just hold off and I'll announce the new one on Monday. And then like the last Monday, and I was like, some of the things that I was going to do, I ended up changing things basically. But I'm doing the game, and that's been a learning curve, let me tell you. I've never done a murder mystery party game, but I think I've been working on that while traveling, and it's coming together. It's almost done. So, good. So people were excited about that.
I bet they were. I will tell you one of the worst experiences of my life, though, is playing a game that my grandson made up. There's no end to it, and and there's no way to tell if you're winning. So I hope it's better than that one.
Okay, well, this one will definitely have an end.
That's all I'm saying. Yeah,
I get it.
Of course, he's 4, so there could be a difference there. So what did you repeat this time that
I did last time?
That you did last time, What worked?
I did a long pre-launch, and once you launch, there's certain things you don't have access to, and I cannot remember what the total count was, but I think last time it was at least 150, maybe 180, and I had at least that many this time, possibly 200, but since I didn't write it down, I'm not sure, but like if you can get like 100 to 150 followers, it's going to help a lot just because there's more interest. And if you have all those followers, Kickstarter emails them when your project goes live. And then if they go to it, then it generates traffic. And if people back right away, it really just helps. So I would say you have to go in and create your story page. Like you put in the basics of everything in Kickstarter, and then you can get it approved, even though it's not finalized according to what you want to do. But like you have to have a draft in for your story and your tiers and all that. Then you can get it approved, and then you can start sending out the link to get people to follow you there. And that was a big help. So I would definitely do that again. And I did the same thing last time as I just did one book. Like I did the hardcover and paperback versions of one book. And I did that last time. And there are some people that they'll do a trilogy or they'll do like 2 books. And I just can't do that. It's just too much for me. Like even when I'm a backer and I go look at somebody's page and they've got the options, do you want book 1, 2, 1, 2, and 3? And I was like, oh, I just can't. It's just too much for me right now. So I definitely stuck with one book.
Right. Well, I have a question because I've never signed up for a pre-launch page of anybody backed. I've just gone in and backed them. But so what I want to know is if someone signs up for a pre-launch page, like your people are, your readers are older, mine are too. And I mean, is it pretty user friendly? Like when they're sending the emails out to them, do they help?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, they have plenty of customer service, help pages.
Right.
Okay. So, but basically the notification, like sign up to notify me, it's like you're signing up at any website.
Right. Sure.
They don't, I'm trying to remember if they collect, credit card information. I can't remember because it's been so long since I signed up, but it's pretty, like if they're used to doing online stuff, it should be fine. And then when they sign up for the reward, it doesn't collect their pledge until the campaign actually closes and funds. So that was another thing I told everybody. I was like, you can back this and you can change your mind, you can change tier levels and all that. And I didn't have a whole lot of customer service questions. Yeah. So I think it's I don't think it's too difficult. Yeah.
No. I mean, I don't find it difficult to, support and back. I just didn't know what your experience was with your older audience. Yeah. Well, that's great. And so Kickstarter's made some changes?
Yeah, we talked about one of those was that you can add the images to your rewards. And I think you really need that now because I think people look for that now. I don't think you have to do that, but I think it's a good idea. And then now they have this great beta dashboard. And like when you go in, it tells you, it's so detailed. It tells you like how many people backed by the hour. And
oh, wow.
Yeah. And like you can do, like you can send out links, referral links that'll show, like you can track where the clicks came from. So like I did one for every newsletter I did. So I could see which ones were most effective. And I did one from my social media, which that was not that effective. I'll just tell you that right now. It was like, I'm not super active on social media. So I'm not surprised at that. Most of my backers came from like my newsletter. And,
your newsletter,
Yeah. And Kickstarter. Kickstarter referred a lot of people. But anyway, this dashboard that they have that's so good and detailed, it goes away after your project closes. And I went in later to download it and it's gone. So you only have access to it. So if you do one, go in and download all your data before the project closes. I wish I'd known that. And now, like my campaign, I didn't have to do this, but I think the end of the month, the end of August, they changed their requirements for AI, and they just want their statement is they just want transparency. So that if somebody backs your campaign, they want backers to know whether or not you used AI. So now you have to state how you used AI within the campaign, within your project. And, I don't really know what that is because I haven't gone through, I haven't set up a project now that they're asking for that. So that's a different change and something that you just need to be aware of, that you're going to have to answer that question and figure out how you're going to. I think it's going to be really hard to describe how you used AI, because did you use AI in creating the images like in Canva? I mean, do we need to declare that? I don't know.
I mean, that's a question. Yeah. That's a question kind of across the board right now.
Yes. With everything. Yeah.
And everything.
In fact, I went in yesterday to update a pre-order, and now they have a question in. Yeah. Did you see that?
Yeah.
About it. They just are collecting information right now. And my answer was no, because it was an older book. I haven't done anything AI related with it. But I was like,
right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
That'll be interesting.
Yeah. Well, anything else we need to know, you think, about Kickstarter?
I think that's like the main things that I took away this time.
Yeah.
The main thing is you want to get everything where it looks good, and then you want to get your people excited about it. And then after it's over, and then you want to maintain the enthusiasm. And then after it's over, you want to fulfill and make sure it's a good experience. Oh, and one other thing I did differently this time is I had the letters last time that people were so excited about, the printed letters that are mailed.
Yes.
And I learned things with that about how to do that better. And one thing that was really confusing to people was that the letters would go out and the mail delivery, some of them would arrive, like letter 2 would arrive before letter 1. And so then they open it and it'd be like, what? This doesn't make sense. So I did a whole little post in my Kickstarter updates and on my newsletter about what's going to be different. And like the envelopes are going to be numbered and the letters are going to be color coded. So like letter 1 is like, say, blue, and letter 2 is green. And so that way you can tell right away, because people were getting them mixed up. They didn't know which, because they were all black and white last time and I didn't number them because I thought that they would deliver on time and it would be obvious. But, so I think if something like that happens, then if you do it again, you need to say, okay, this is what I'm doing to make it better.
Yeah.
That's a big deal.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. Well, and then fulfillment, like how long do you tell them it's going to take you to fulfill things?
Okay. So this is Claire Taylor's tip. She's like, give yourself plenty of time to fulfill. And then if you fulfill early, it's great, and I said I would deliver the digital rewards in September, which I think is going to be fine. And then the physical book in October. So anything physical should go out in October. Okay. And I think that's going to work fine, but I could have extended both of those by a month. Do you know what I mean? Like I could have done 2 months for digital and 3 months for physical, but I want to get everything out. Before,
you want it off your plate. Yeah,
I do. I want to finish it off. But there are certain things that, you can't control, like shipping control. And if you promise a print book in like 3 weeks, I think that's really, really cutting it close, because you have to wait. It takes Kickstarter about 2 weeks to collect all the rewards and send the money to you. And then after you do that, then you have a final count of what you really need. So you don't really want to start fulfilling stuff until you have that. So that's 2 weeks there that you're waiting, So if you say fulfill in 4 weeks, that's kind of a short time.
And awesome. I've learned stuff. I'm sure our listeners have learned stuff. I will say that if you have more questions about this, we'll put something in the Facebook group. And then if we do another episode on Kickstarter, we'll try to answer your questions, or we'll answer them in the group. We'll answer them in the group. I'm signing Sara up for something as I do. So,
if we have a ton of questions, then we can do another episode on it. But
exactly. If we just have one or two,
I'll just answer them in the group. Yeah,
that'd be great.
So are you thinking of doing a Kickstarter still?
I am still thinking, but then you just made me.
Did I stress you out?
on the only doing one book, because if I was going to do it, I would do the 4 books in my bride series.
But you were thinking of doing a slipcase or something like that?
Yeah, a slipcase. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, if you only have that as the option, that they're just getting the slipcase, then that's only one option for you to fulfill. The thing that stresses me out was like, if you need 4 copies of book 1 and 2 copies of book 2 and 1, but if you have it as a set, that might be one way to do that.
Right. But then I would have,
and then you could do your digital rewards. Those could be, they could get 1 book or 3 books or 4 books or whatever.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah. Maybe I could do that. We could talk offline.
We'll brainstorm.
I am probably after the first of the year. I mean, that's just kind of when I'm thinking about it, because, I can't do anything before then. I mean, because we're running into holidays and that was another thing. You don't want to do a Kickstarter after about,
I would say probably October, because a lot of people use a Kickstarter, or they're like, oh, I'll get this and give it as a gift, or if that's even a thought.
Yeah.
You don't want to be running one in November, because it's going to be really hard to fulfill it before Christmas. So,
well, and then also
there's a lull.
And then you also have issues with shipping, and I mean, it's holiday
expensive.
shipping and stuff like that. I would think that would be an issue. So, pardon me. So this has been great. Thank you for answering all our questions, and
thank you for interviewing me.
You're welcome. You can find us at our website. And Sarah's going to tell you what that is, because I never can remember. Wish I'd done then.
Because it's wishidonethenforwriters.com.
Writers. Wish I'd done then for writers. Yeah. And we did get an email on our our new email. So that's on our web. Is that on the website now? I think it is.
I don't think it is. I think I've been a little distracted. Okay. We'll try and get that on there.
It's wish I'd known then for writers at gmail.com.
There we go.
Y'all, I'm so sorry. And thanks to Adriel Wiggins for doing our admin, and Alexa Lardberg for editing and producing the podcast. And thanks to all our supporters. Yeah. And we will see you next week. Thanks. Bye.
Thanks. Bye, everybody.
Thanks for listening to the Wish I'd Known Then podcast. We hope this episode inspired you, empowered you, and made you laugh a little bit too. If you loved it, tell your friends about it. And if you feel so inclined, leave us a review. We look forward to being with you again next week.